stop paying for Airtable, Make.com and N8N. An engineer who builds backend systems for unicorn companies said one thing to me over lunch, which made me cancel all my subscriptions on the way home. His point is, every business these days needs a brain. So one place that owns all of its data. So you can understand your customers and make the best decisions for your business. Mine was scattered across many different tools and I could not answer the simplest thing about my own business. So today, without writing one line of code myself, I designed a real scalable backend that catches all of it. My website, my newsletter, my analytics, my payments, and all the data from the game I'm currently building in public. I'm Christian, 15 years in product, and you will watch the entire architecture session in Claude Code. Mistakes included, and at the end I will send the finished plan to the same engineer I had lunch with, and who gave me his brutally honest feedback on my plan. The whole blueprint and every prompt I used is free in the video description, so let's jump right into it. Today I'm planning and designing my backend infrastructure that let me operate like a big company. Right now, I'm paying $20 for Airtable, $10 for Make.com, and I had a self-hosted N8N server, which costs also around about $5. I'm paying a lot of money for tools, but I also felt limited when it comes to scaling, especially on Airtable and Make.com. The reason why I decided to go away from these tools is I can just host on a droplet server that costs $12 everything, run all the operations, and save not only a lot of time, but I can create much more better quality because I can use the AI to exactly define how things have to look like and what kind of data I want to get out on a regular basis. Instead of thinking about this myself and hacking it into automation tools, I can work it out with the AI, test it, and then rest in peace. I just came from lunch with a rockstar engineer who built backends for unicorns. And the reason why I'm doing this is that we talked about how these days with AI and the capabilities we have, how we would set up a company right from the get-go and right from the start. Whether you are a solopreneur or an entrepreneur with a big team or a one-man or one-woman show, it doesn't matter. We just realized that the most important thing is to set up the brain. You need a brain, and that means a place where all data that are relevant to your business getting collected in, let's say, one place or multiple places that can be overlooked by an overarching script or an MCP, for example, that deep dives into the data and gives you the answers to your questions based on the glasses you're wearing, like the marketing glasses or the engineering glasses, or whatever you want to do with your business. And this is also the foundation for agents that we're going to let run and build later on. And the question is, as for example, a starter or a non-technical person, how do you start? Where do you start actually? And that's what I want to do with you today in this session. We are going to prompt together with Claude a way into such an infrastructure. We will get feedback. I'm not sure where we will end up, but this is actually the point that I want to share with you so that you can follow me on how I learn how this whole thing must be set up. And by the way, I will, of course, later on share this plan with my engineering friend, get some feedback, and share this back with you, of course, when you follow my newsletter. So check out the video description for that. As you know from my previous video, I am about to build a Tamagotchi, hero's journey, personal growth, mental health, all-in-one app. In the last session, we were working out the user story map to get an overview of the kind of features we have. And I'm very happy that I did that planning session because I realized there is one important thing I need to build first in order to validate my product. And this is the questionnaire within the app. So in the app, you will later fill out questions about yourself that help me understanding what kind of goals you have, wishes you have, challenges, etc. And then create quests based on your future state that you are aiming for that will help you to level up in real life. And for example, for a questionnaire, you also need a database. But once we have a product like an app or a web app, whatever it will be, you also collect data, events, tracking, analytics, and whatnot. Then, additionally, I have this YouTube channel that generates traffic, comments, likes, dislikes. I have a website where people coming from Google, from YouTube, and many more entries. So there is a lot of things going on in my business. On top of that, we also have then later on checkouts, payments, and whatnot. The question is, where do we bring all this kind of data together and how? And this is what I want to look at today, because everything that is relevant to my business must be available and analyzed to understand correlations, causalities, and look at everything holistically. Because a change in the Google algorithm will have impact on my traffic, can have an impact on my conversion rate, and vice versa. So therefore, this is the way to go. And I just would say, let's get right into it with prompting, because that is what's the most important thing. So I've shared with you now a lot of background and context, and I'm going to do the same thing right now. So the first thing is personification. As always, act as a senior backend engineer with a brilliant eye for detail and the background of having built many scaling backends for companies and rockstar solopreneurs. So something like that. So now let's get into the whole content. In this project, I'm planning to build this app. By the way, there is the Claude MD. If you look 2 videos ago into the video description, you'll be able to download the Claude MD that I have, which already contains some background information on this project. But I'm going to feed him now with more information additionally to the project. So that means the project itself doesn't need to explain in this chat right now. To build this app, which will collect data, tracking, events, payments, and much more. At the same time, I have as a hub my website, christianstrunk.com, which also collects data. We have Google Search Console. I also have the Bing Webmaster, I think it's called, Bing Webmasters, GA4, Microsoft Clarity, which I can recommend. I really like it. So Microsoft Clarity is something like Hotjar, which records when people, of course, accept the cookies, how they are browsing through the apps. For example, these are the things that we have, which, so full stop. Then I have my business operations and consulting business, which generates money. And I have fixed costs, personal costs, and I would like to map out my financials. And then I have my newsletter, which also links to all the mentioned channels. And the newsletter itself has data, numbers, conversions, etc. My goal is to go away from N8N and make.com, as well as Airtable, and put everything on one DigitalOcean droplet and let it run/work there. I have no idea how to do it. And need your technical advice and feedback. Ultrathink, let's map this out step by step. So this is the first prompt I would start with. Because the first things that you need to do when you want to get to good results with Claude is to give context and context. That's super important, and this is what we're doing right now. And by the way, as always, you will be able to download this prompt and all the other prompts that I'm creating in the session later on in the video description. Just press the link, scroll to the bottom, and then you can get all the markdown files and start your own business if you like. Okay, I got the first feedback. Best practice is a Postgres SQL, and the suggestion is to make n8n self-hosted. I think I did not explain this well. It is already, but I want to get rid of it. We can also just create Python codes with 1 or 2 prompts, and this saves me so much more time. And I don't want to have to struggle to play around in n8n with that. Okay, so the interesting thing is now, of course, a Postgres database makes sense, I think for now, but I also will challenge him a bit. And now his suggestion to buy a big server that I have right from the beginning, 8 GB, which will cost $48. And the question is, do we need that? Because right now there is no product yet, and the traffic is not as big as this would be worth it. So the feedback I'm going to give Claude now is, first of all, no n8n at all. We write custom code because it's easy and fast and less stressful for me, because you are much than I am in these topics. Also, we do not have a game yet and not too many automations that I want to migrate from these tools. Therefore, I believe a, let's say, $6 server or eventually $12 could be enough. This is the first thing, just to give context. And additionally, I would also say he suggests to pull data from GA and Co. via API. Makes totally sense. I'm going to do that. Custom code is something that I will write. And DO managed Postgres, yeah, that's something we need to discuss regarding Postgres. I agree. But also as MVP, can we have everything on one server? Bear in mind, I'm a solopreneur starting to launch products. Just some basic information we hit the AI with to see how he reacts, and let's just continue the conversation. But as you can see, what's important for me is to share the way of thinking. The way of thinking is, I have a problem, I don't know how to solve it, I am getting answers, and I need to look at those, I need to read it, and I cannot blindly trust what the AI is telling me. And I have also to clarify myself sometimes even better, so that the AI delivers a much better output. Because what you give in is what you give back. If you give in shit, you will get back shit, obviously. Therefore, this must be clarified, and we are already getting the answers. Okay, one droplet, one TypeScript code, one language. It says Postgres. So that's something that my friend also recommended me. Next.js app doing 3 jobs. Your marketing, okay. So it says all 5 services in one Docker, one Git push, one, okay. So this is clear. What he's doing here right now, he's telling me that I need to be careful, especially when I want to go live, because once a droplet dies, obviously I'm going to lose data, which makes totally sense. But the thing is still that is going through my mind right now is how the database behind it will look like. So I think we need to have many databases for each product, as far as I understand, but that's something that I need to figure out now, because I'm not an engineer. Okay, explain how it works with the databases. Will we have for each case/product a own DB on the droplet? Okay, it says one database. So this is the one database. Then we have web, newsletter. This is now interesting because I wasn't sure whether we should have multiple databases or only one. And I want to challenge him on that, because I used to have an earlier conversation with the AI where the suggestion was to have multiple databases. But yeah, it was okay. So he tells me that, yeah, otherwise, of course, if I have multiple databases, I need to have to run scripts across them to understand data. Another thing is also, when it comes to the database, if it's eventually senseful to have multiple of them, because for the app, for example, and GDPR, it might be possible that it's important to separate them from other databases, but I will figure this out. Okay, question. Let's say all its data regarding GDPR. Shouldn't that live in its own DB. And why not scraping over, let's say, 5 DBs or even more when I develop more products? Because we need to ask ourselves the question, what is happening when I start scaling, so to say? If there are multiple apps, smaller things that I'm on a daily and regular basis building, should this all be thrown into one database? So, and this is actually the question. And another thing is, I want to use Claude Code on MCP to connect to the DB, to the server, and analyze data in the future. Based on my feedback, what do you suggest? And then something that always works for me, UltraThink, is be brutally honest. So if you tell him to be brutally honest, he will. And yeah, this skips the chit chat, so to say. Okay, I love the honesty. I'm 30% wrong, but the wrong parts are the one that matters. Okay, he's now telling me we should have multiple databases. So GDPR is not the reason, but it is important to have it architecture-wise. And the reason why we have, for example, just for the app itself, our own database is clearly mentioned here, right? So we have the blast radius, different workload profile, different backups, security surface, and also independent deployability. That's very important to me. I don't want to break anything else if I'm touching the database, right? Or generally also be vulnerable to attacks at all, right? Therefore, this is something I go with now. And now he's suggesting we have the hub, which is my business. Then we have the app, which is coming. And then we have future products here. This is really cool. I like that. This is really cool. Here we have the web analytics. Here we have the app analytics. Super good. Okay, and also here he is explaining, and this is really cool. I like that. So each product has a schema. This is cool. Every night the schema gets be filled up. And then I can work with the MCP and check out what is going on with my data out of Claude Code. This is amazing. And then also MCP, only read only. Okay, that's something, this makes sense. For later on, honestly, I'm not thinking that far right now because building the MCP is a video for itself, I guess. What we're focusing on right now is to setting up the whole baby here. So database 1, now 2. Okay, makes sense. Scheme. Now we have the warehouse part, which is really good. Yeah, of course, I will not scrape again. So here's the thing. I said to Claude that we will have to scrape across 5 databases. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. But he's taking me serious on that because he doesn't want to do it. And this is what I really like about Opus. It can push back hard sometimes. Not hurting my feelings yet, but it's close. This is the way to go. Yeah, this is how I use Claude Code as a sparring partner. And actually, we have now a good foundation for this whole architecture that we're going to draft out. I'm just wondering if we should push back on Postgres. We can give it a run just for you to see. But everything else is already locked in. The whole warehouse thinking is amazing. I like that. I think we're going to pay, let's say, $17 per month to cost. This is something I need to understand. You said cost 17 a month for what? And droplet 12 for, and the droplet costs 12. What are the 17? Also, what are best practices these days with AI? Is Postgres still cutting edge? What I'm going to say now is UltraThink, deeply analyze the web and how other product builders and successful companies and scalers are doing this. This is something I would give him just to see if there is still something we can catch out. All right, we have DigitalOcean droplet and we have the spaces, the S3 compatible object. My engineering friend just talked about this and told me also it costs $5. Now I understand. This question is answered. And now, Postgres is still cutting edge in 2026. Good. I think this is pretty clear, a lot of explanation, but I'm taking him up on it. I have obviously my friend and I'm going to tell him what I'm planning and I will get some feedback on it. And what I'm going to do later on is I'm going to tell him that I want to text my friend and please create a short WhatsApp message for me that contains all the basic information that he can review. I have saved time with that too, and I can make sure that I get immediately feedback from a person who knows how to build such things. Okay, there is a little bit of a change. Poster with PG Vector, enabled from day one, okay. Worker in progress with Node-cron, no, this is not anymore. PG boss, okay. Cloudflare, obviously. This is something we need to look into. Okay, he also tells me what is not cutting edge, this is fine. There's also one concern. I am concerned about the free tier. I am concerned here and want to make sure we can scale long enough and not end up in a paid overpriced tier. Please double check. What I'm just saying is he came up with the whole Sentry free tier. I don't know what the pricing is, and I just want to let him do the work to understand, okay, should we take this for now, or is there maybe another alternative? But good. Overall, it looks like that the picture is getting more and more clear for us. Okay, long story short, Sentry is not the answer for now because you only have 5,000 errors per month, and on a bad day and just deploying and trying things out, this can break already. So we keep it simple as originally planned. We write the errors into the Postgres for now, and once I start getting users, I can still upgrade, and this will be documented and saved for later on in the backlog. What I'm going to tell him now is start mapping out an elegant architecture and plan with all crucial information to build a rock solid backend. Also, I want you to create afterwards a scaling backlog on the things we need to take care of once we get more users, like the GlitchTip thingy. Ultrathink, work diligently and be thorough. Yeah, we're going to let him now make the plan. All right, we have now a plan. Plan is MD is created as well as the backlog. You'll be able to download this later. And here are now a couple of questions that need to be answered. I'm going to answer all of them. The only thing is I'm not sure where this dashboard will be accessible on later, just for privacy. I also don't want to be hacked, so I think this will live on a separate domain. But other than that, we're good to go. I got now feedback on how everything could work, and there was one open question. He wanted to ask me which email provider we use to send magic links, and the reason why is because the magic links will help me to log in later for security reasons. I'm going to answer that, as well as asking him to create the WhatsApp message for me that I will send to my friend, who will then review my plan and give me some feedback, and I'll let you, of course, know what the outcome will be. The message is, first of all, the newsletter tool is MailerLite, and login can be Google regarding the magic links. And I need to tell him now that I want to have a short, clear summary for WhatsApp that I can send to him, and then he can give me a feedback with a good to go, or eventually give me feedback why I should not follow this particular plan I just worked out today. So I got the message, I will send it and then get back to you with the feedback and the next steps for this project. I just got off the phone with my friend and he gave me his brutal honest feedback. What he said was that the plan looks overall great. There are two things that he recommended me changing. First of all, the Postgres is already available via DigitalOcean. I don't need to host this by myself because you get all the backup, maintenance, and co from the get-go. It will cost around $15, which is okay. He told me also to use a smaller server. The 4 GB RAM is much over-dimensional, so I should rather go down and upgrade from there whenever it's needed. But there's one important thing. He said the whole Postgres thing is for structured data. I should dive into this as well again to make sure that I have like a Postgres database that is able to easily get through the whole data set and the different types and qualities of data. And in the next video, I will guide you through my whole backend architecture after I have received some code review from my friend.